city of Iko, where tall buildings stood beside noisy markets and buses shouted through the streets, there lived a young girl named Amora. Amora was gentle, quiet, and hardworking. She had the kind of smile that made people feel calm, even when her own heart was heavy. But Amora had not always lived in the city. She was born in a small village called Mpola, where mornings smelled of fresh earth, palm trees moved gently in the wind, and children gathered under moonlight to hear stories from the elders. Her mother, Edeora, was loved by everyone in the village. She was kind, patient, and wise. She taught Amora to greet elders with respect, to share even when she had little, and to never answer wickedness with wickedness. But when Amora was only 8 years old, her mother fell sick and died. From that day, Amora's world changed. Her father, Mr. Okri, was a trader who spent most of his time traveling between the city and the village. He loved his daughter, but grief made him weak. He did not know how to raise a child alone. So 2 years later, he married another woman. Her name was Madame Selina. Madame Selina came from the city. She wore expensive wrappers, shiny slippers, and perfume so strong that people knew she had entered a room before they saw her face. At first, she smiled at Amora. She called her my daughter whenever Mr. Okari was around. She rubbed Amora's head gently and gave her food in front of visitors. But when no one was watching, her voice changed. "Do not think because your father loves you, you are special," she said. "In this house, you will learn your place." And from the day Selina entered the house, peace left with the wind. Part 2 continues, because in that house, one daughter was treated like sunlight, and the other like shadow. Madame Selina had one daughter of her own. Her name was Busy. Busy was the same age as Amora, but they were nothing alike. Amora woke before sunrise. She swept the compound. She washed plates. She fetched water. And she helped prepare food before school. But Busy slept until the house was bright. When she woke, she complained about breakfast, refused to carry her school bag, and cried whenever she did not get what she wanted. Still, Madame Selina treated Busy like a princess. She bought her new dresses, new shoes, and colorful hair ribbons. She packed eggs and sausages in Busy's lunchbox. But for Amora, she gave dry bread wrapped in old paper. Whenever Mr. Okari asked why Amora looked tired, Madame Selina would laugh softly. "She is growing," she would say. "Children are always tired." And because Mr. Okari trusted his wife, he believed her. In that house, there were 2 daughters. One was treated like sunlight. The other was treated like shadow. Busy ate first. Amora ate last. Busy wore new clothes. Amora wore old ones. Busy watched television after school. Amora washed uniforms, cleaned rooms, and cooked food she was barely allowed to enjoy. At night, while Busy slept on a soft bed with pink bed sheets, Amora lay on a thin mat near the kitchen. Sometimes, she would hold the old wrapper her mother left behind and cry quietly into it. Part 3 continues, because one December, the family returned to the village where Amora's mother was never forgotten. One December, Mr. Okari decided the family would travel back to Mpola village for the Christmas season. He wanted to visit his late wife's grave, greet his relatives, and show his children where they came from. When Amora heard the news, happiness entered her heart for the first time in many months. She wanted to see the mango tree near her mother's old kitchen. She wanted to visit the stream where her mother once taught her to wash clothes. She wanted to feel the red soil of Mpola under her feet again. But Madame Selina was not happy. She hated the village. She complained about the dust, the mosquitoes, the old houses, and the way people greeted each other too much. "This place is too local," she whispered to Busy when they arrived. "We will not stay long." But for Amora, Mpola felt like breathing again. The moment her feet touched the red soil, memories came back. She remembered her mother's laughter. She remembered the smell of morning firewood. She remembered the sound of children playing under the mango tree. The villagers remembered her too. Old women hugged her. Children smiled at her. Even the elders blessed her when she passed. Your mother was a good woman, they told her. May her kindness follow you. For the first time in a long time, Amora felt seen. She was not just the quiet girl in the kitchen. She was not just the child who ate last. She was Adora's daughter. And that name still carried love. Madame Selina noticed. She saw the way people looked at Amora. She saw the way old women touched her face. She saw the way the elders spoke her mother's name with respect. And jealousy entered her heart. She had spent years trying to make Amora feel small. But in Pola, Amora was not small. She belonged. Part 4 continues, because during the village festival, Selina made a wicked plan. After they arrived, Pola prepared for the annual river festival. It was a celebration held every year to honor the river that gave water to the farms and fish to the people. Women cooked in large pots, men decorated the village square with palm leaves, young girls wore beads and colorful wrappers. Drummers practiced beside the old Udola tree. Everyone was excited. During the festival, young girls were allowed to present gifts at the riverbank. Flowers, fruits, or small calabashes of water. It was believed that any girl with a pure heart who gave her gift sincerely would receive a blessing before the year ended. Busy wanted to join because she heard people would clap. Madame Selina immediately bought her the finest beads in the market. She dressed Busy in bright lace and painted her face with powder. Amora had no new dress. So she quietly washed one of her mother's old wrappers and wore it neatly. It was faded, but clean. When she came out, some of the village women became silent. For a moment, they thought they were looking at Ediora again. Amora had her mother's eyes. Her mother's gentle walk. Her mother's quiet grace. Madame Selina saw the way people looked at Amora. And her jealousy burned hotter. That night, she made a plan. Before dawn on the day of the festival, Madame Selina woke Amora. Go to the old farm road, she said. Your father left a basket there yesterday. Bring it before anyone wakes up. She picked up a small lantern and walked out of the compound. By the time the sun began to rise, she realized she had been tricked. Part 5 continues, because someone was waiting for Amora on the road. As Amora stood outside the locked house crying, an old woman appeared on the road. She was bent with age and carried a small basket on her head. Her clothes were plain. Her feet were dusty from walking. My child, the old woman said, why are you crying on a festival morning? Amora wiped her tears quickly. It is nothing, Mama. The old woman smiled gently. A child who says it is nothing while tears are still on her face is carrying something heavy. Amora looked down. She did not want to speak badly of her stepmother. So she only said, I was supposed to attend the festival, but I have no wrapper to wear. The old woman looked at her for a long moment. Then she removed a folded cloth from her basket. It was a simple white wrapper with tiny blue patterns. It was not expensive, but it was beautiful in a quiet way. Wear this, the woman said. Amora stepped back. No, Mama. I cannot take your cloth. The woman smiled. You did not ask. I offered. Amora accepted it with both hands. Then she knelt to thank her. The old woman touched her head and whispered, a child with a clean heart never walks alone. When Amora looked up again, the woman was already walking away. But something strange happened. No dust rose from her feet. Amora stood still for a moment. Then she looked at the white wrapper in her hands. For the first time that morning, hope returned to her heart. She quickly changed into the wrapper. The cloth was simple, but when she wore it, it moved like water in the wind. The tiny blue patterns shone softly under the morning light. Amora picked one small flower by the roadside. It was the only gift she had. Then she wiped her tears, lifted her head, and walked toward the riverbank. By the time she arrived, the river festival had already begun. Then Amora stepped forward. And the singing began to soften. Part 6 continues, because the river was about to recognize Adeora's daughter. When Amora stepped into the festival ground, the singing began to soften. People turned to look at her. The simple white wrapper moved gently in the wind. The tiny blue patterns shone like water under morning light. Amora carried no expensive gift. She had no basket of fruit. No calabash decorated with beads. No fine cloth to show the crowd. She only held one small flower she had picked by the roadside. Some people whispered. Madame Selina froze. Busy frowned. How did she get here? Busy muttered. But Amora did not answer anyone. She walked quietly toward the riverbank. Every step she took made the crowd grow more silent. The drummers slowed. The women stopped singing. Even the children stopped dancing. Amora reached the edge of the river and knelt. She held the small flower in both hands. Then she placed it gently on the water. She closed her eyes and whispered, I have nothing great to give, but I give it with a clean heart. For a moment, nothing happened. The river moved as it always did. The people watched. Madame Selina smiled again, thinking the moment was over. Then the river became still. The wind stopped. The drums became silent. The flower Amora had placed on the water began to glow. A circle of light spread across the river. The villagers gasped. Amora opened her eyes slowly. From the river, a soft voice rose. Daughter of Adeora, kindness has not forgotten you. The whole village fell silent. Madame Selina's face turned pale. Mr. Okori stood frozen. The village elder rose slowly from his seat. And with a voice that carried across the riverbank, he asked, Who sent this child away from the festival? Part 7 continues, because truth was about to find its village elder's question hung over the riverbank. Who sent this child away from the festival? For a moment, no one answered. The river was still. The flower still glowed softly on the water. Amora lowered her head. Even after everything, she did not want to accuse anyone. But truth has a way of finding its own mouth. Then a little boy from the compound stepped forward. His voice was small, but everyone heard him. I saw Madame Selina lock the door, he said. And I saw her hide Amora's wrapper behind the kitchen wall. The women began to murmur. The elders looked at one another. Mr. Okari turned slowly toward his wife. Selina, he said, his voice shaking, is this true? Madame Selina opened her mouth. But no words came out. Busy began to cry. Not because she was sorry, but because people had stopped looking at her. The elder shook his head. A woman who feeds one child with love and another with sorrow has poisoned her own house. Mr. Okari's heart broke. For the first time, he saw clearly. He saw Amora's tired eyes. He saw her worn clothes. He saw the silence she had been carrying for years. And he realized that grief had made him blind. Mr. Okari walked to Amora and knelt before her. My child, he said, his voice shaking, forgive me. I failed to see your pain. Amora began to cry. Not because she hated him, but because she had waited so long to be seen. The village women gathered around her. Madame Selina was sent back to the city with Busy until she learned humility. Some say she changed years later. Others say pride stayed with her like a shadow. She returned to school. And never forget that the love of a good mother does not die. It becomes the blessing that finds her child when the world turns its back. The end.